Hey everybody, we have got the Guardian Tactical Recon-035 here today. We're going to be talking about this knife. We'll talk about the blade, we'll talk about the handle, body, whatever you want to call it. We'll talk about the hardware, and we're going to talk about the action. Whatever you want to know about this knife, we're going to try to get it covered. Really excited to talk about that action. That's really the party piece of this knife. But we'll go ahead and get into it. I got Braden here.
Howdy.
And he's going to get into the specs a little. Some of the nerdy stuff that I can't be bothered with. He is going to cover that for us. So let's go ahead and hop right in.
All right.
What do we got?
Getting started, we got a 3.5-inch blade on both of these guys here, both the drop point and the Tonto. We have 6061 T6 aluminum for the handles. This has been custom distressed by Josh. I think it turned out very nice, actually. For hardware, we have T6 Torx on the body screws as well as the pocket clip. One thing to note between my what model is this? Around 8,000 and Josh's model in the 11,000s, they changed to just 5 screws on the front piece instead of 6. That's just something to note. Let's check out the weight on both of these guys here. We have, we're going to do the drop point first. We have 3.67 ounces, and for the Tonto we have 3.74. And that slight weight discrepancy, that's not something you're going to notice in the pocket, but that is due to the different the grinds between the Tonto and the drop point here. As you see, they ground a lot more of the stock off to get the taper down for the drop point as opposed to the Tonto. Let's get some size comparisons going here. The Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and the Benchmade Mini Bugout. Those are two pretty common ones that hopefully some of you have laying around. Blade length is actually identical to the Para 2. Spyderco's got a longer handle, obviously. I don't like it necessarily. Spyderco does some weird stuff. Got some more similar knife type comparisons. We have the Combat Troodon. We have my broken Ultratech. And we have Josh's UTX-85. So looking at all these knives here, you can see some differences. Obviously, one of the main things that I noticed is the blade to handle ratio.
Yeah, on the UTX-85, of course, you're gonna get it's 85% the size of the full size Ultratech. So you're gonna get a shorter handle. You're also gonna get a shorter blade. On the Recon-035, you're going to get the same length handle that you get with the UTX-85, but you're going to get the same length blade that you get with the full-size Ultratech. The ratio is just better. How do they do that, Braden?
They actually have 2 different patents on this knife, which they have engraved on the handle. So if you're curious and go look them up, you can go see exactly how they work. But the internal mechanism of this knife, it's very similar to how most OTF knives work with the same as Microtech here. But instead of having the lock and gauge on the bottom of the blade tang, there is a piece of metal that is bolted to the tang of the blade that is moved up just a little bit. That allows for the blade to sit further down in the handle and still be locked in the closed position. So that it also allows for the blade to slide more freely. Let me derail this real quick. This moves a lot more freely than most OTF knives do because there's not a lock dragging along on the tang of the blade. So if you see, this just like falls open and closed in there, where a Microtech does not do that. Also, their other patent is for the hardened steel plate in here. There's 3 ceramic bearings pressed into this switch, and those right along on that steel plate, and that allows for this buttery smooth action.
It makes a huge difference in the action, both in just like fidgeting with it, playing with it. I mean, that's what you do with an OTF. You get these knives and you wind up playing with them for hours. But also day-to-day use, you pull it out of your pocket, that switch glides, it works well. Very user-friendly. Even somebody who's not very comfortable, not very familiar with OTFs, you hand them the knife and they're able to shoot that thing right out of there. It's pretty cool. It's definitely, if you're looking for your first OTF and you want a really good experience with an OTF knife, you're not going to find a better action than you get on the Guardian Tactical. Also, that lack of friction that you get when the knife is coming in and out, it does make a difference considering um, the weight and heft of the blade. You get a much thicker stock with the Guardian Tactical. The Ultratech itself has a pretty thick blade stock, but compared to the Guardian Tactical, it is, as Braden mentioned a few moments ago, it seems a little anemic. You get a really nice, thick, heavy stock out of this knife, and that, I mean, in my opinion, is a good thing. Now, you may think that what you get with a much thicker blade is a blade that is less slicey. That is a popular word, slicey, right? Well, this knife right here is plenty slicey. It's a workhorse, and I think that has a lot to do with the grind they put on this blade. You're going to get a shallower grind than you get with a Ultratech. These steels are super steels. You got LMAX, M390. It can handle a shallower grind. So I think, by all means, put a shallower grind on there. No, it's not going to be as tough as a steeper grind, but the steel is tough enough. It can handle its own. So, why not have a blade that you get a nice thick blade and you still get a nice slice every time?
Got a little pocket clip comparison here. We have the Combat Troodon, UTX-85, and the Guardian Tactical. So as you see, it rides fairly deep. Not as deep as the Troodon, but I mean you don't have this all the way down in your pocket. Another thing to note is despite having a very thick blade, like Josh said, it slices very well. He uses his knives a bit more than I do. I've had this close to a year. It still looks brand new. Most of the work I do with it is opening boxes, trimming filament off 3D printed parts, just playing with it nonstop while I'm working on things. I'd imagine that's what most of you will also be using it for, but it can definitely hold up to some actual physical use.
Yeah. If you have a real job and you want your knife to do real work, this knife will do that. I do commercial roofing, and so I've been using this thing for cutting TPO, PVC, making big long cuts on material, cutting around flashing and that sort of thing. This knife does a really good job. I haven't had any trouble with it. Haven't had any trouble with it binding up on material because the blade was too thick. Like I mentioned a minute ago, still a really slicey blade. And for me, a knife has to work. Am I going to take every knife that I have and put it through hard use in the field? Probably not. But I want to have the option, and this one will hold up to it. It will do the work. If this is the knife that I've got in my pocket, no matter what I'm doing, I know that it's going to hold up to it. So for me, that makes a good knife.
They also deploy very reliably. Personally, I've never had this thing misfire. I think Josh experienced one misfire out of the thousands of actuations you have had on it. This has had 0. With all my Microtechs, I've had failures to actuate. This is currently broken. It's not a terribly big deal, as I did shoot this for probably 4 years straight. You can see I actually wore all the way through the anodization on the handle. That's part of the reason this is so great. With the bearings and that steel plate, super smooth, and you're not going to be running into all the resistance of this rubbing straight on the anodization or the aluminum. Even with this new UTX-85, there's some resistance there before it fires. That's something you won't have any issues with this guy.
Let's talk about price point a little. So your two kind of knives that we're going to look at here, we will look at the Recon-035 versus the Ultratech. Right, the Ultratech is the standard bearer of OTF knives. You're going to be looking at spending about $300 on an Ultratech. Now that's the new model. This is the old model. But you're going to be looking at spending about $300 for this UTX-85. I think I paid $265. This Recon-035 here you can pick up for $285. And they are in stock a lot of places. So you can go out and find one of these, and they're still producing them. And it's not going to be hard to get your hands on one if you want one, and you do. So, I really recommend this knife, Braden.
100%, absolutely.
Yeah, so if you're looking to add another OTF to your collection, if you're looking to get your first OTF, if you're just looking for another knife in general, I highly recommend going out and picking up one of these. You're not going to regret it. It's going to look good, it's going to feel good, and it's going to work hard if you want it to. So for all those reasons, I'd recommend going out and picking one of these up. That's all we got for you today. I'm sure we'll have another review for you soon on something else. Be looking for that. But until then, we will see you later.